Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. How are you today? I hope everything is going well. You decide to stop back in at the place, at the spot, the location, where the conversations are pointed and the guests are sharp, the responses are never dull. Today, we are in Minnesota, here in the U.S., with an amazing doctor, Dr. Heather Awad. We're going to talk about the change of life, the menopause. I tell her it's no pause. This thing goes full throttle. Okay. It goes into overdrive. But I'm going to ask her some very unique questions. You know, we all know about the hot flashes. We all know about the weight. We're going to talk about that. We'll also know about the brain fog, but also the emotional tethering that it takes on our hearts, on our families, on our relationships, the sense of not feeling worthy, not feeling pretty or sexy. You know, she's a mother of four. Nobody would ever know that. Okay. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot of other transitional things that happen when we go through this chapter, a rites of passage for a woman, that phase of life. Let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Dr. Heather?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you for being on the show. Tell my brains a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
Sure. So I'm a family doctor in Minnesota. And why I became so passionate about the work that I do is that um, was just eating kind of healthy-ish and going along my merry way. And then in my late 40s, I started to just suddenly gain weight, and have hot flashes. And I was like, oh, what is going on? So I tried the things that normally worked for me, and nothing worked. Nothing budged the number on the scale. And at 50, I noticed I was at a frankly unhealthy weight and I got worried for my health. So I thought there's got to be something special about this menopause transition. So I dug into the research and discovered how that drop in estrogen makes us more insulin resistant.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, this is the biology part that we need to know. And then I also spent some money to get some life coaching, and a coach helped me with emotional eating, stress eating. And when I brought those things together, it got really simple, and I lost 27 pounds. And I don't have any worry about, gaining it back. And I thought this is something I could bring to the world, because people don't know how to lose weight or why we even gain weight at the midlife transition. So I thought this is going to be my work. So that's what I do now.
Well, it's beautiful work, but you know, I'm going to interject in there because I went through the menopause.
Sure.
And I'm on the other side of it. It still comes back to haunt me from time to time. But again, I looked at myself, and in all honesty, I had gotten lazy. I was eating for entertainment. I was not eating, you know, I wasn't stressed out. I've got a wonderful life. I didn't have that emotional thing, but I was eating on the go. And I also found every time I went to a meeting, let's meet at a restaurant. No. And if you don't, you eat the whole bowl of guacamole and chips and you have a margarita, and then your main course comes. And the portion sizes here in the United States, they try to compensate for the bill that you're about to get. There's a lot. And I noticed what I ate. I started charting it, and I realized what the triggers were. You know, that lemonade that they have at the dispensary, or, you know, the syrup that they put in your refillable drink that's 32 ounces.
Right.
Within 30 to 45 minutes, I'd have a hot flash. My breast
Mhm.
was so tender, I was going to the doctor every 6 months thinking I had breast cancer. It was the caffeine,
Mm.
the amount of the red meat that I was eating. So I looked at that and I started charting it, and it made such a difference. And then the weight gain And then I got diagnosed that I was pre-diabetic. And I'm
Mm,
saying, okay, well, this is just genetic because, everyone in my family has diabetes. But if we study nutrition and pay attention to what we put in our body, we can kind of change the dynamics of that. What do
so
you
true.
instruct your patients to start charting the process, and then how do we progress into working on some alternative therapies before we jump right to medication?
Sure, sure. No, I love that you bring that up because you're right. Prediabetes is not a hard and fast problem that has to go forward. You can definitely back away from it. And people even get cured from type 2 diabetes if they pay attention to nutrition. So in the menopause transition and beyond, it's really important that a quarter of their plate is protein.
Mhm.
That really helps. And then from there, you need to have some vegetables or berries with that meal as well. Now, the protein can be chickpeas, it can be chicken. I mean, it can really be any of the natural proteins. Um, but you want a quarter of your meal to be that. I'm not a counter. I don't give people grams, macros, and calories. I work with professional women, so they're busy, and your brain's audience too. They've got stuff going on. They've got a big, fabulous life. A lot of people don't want to do all that counting. So a quarter of your plate, protein, and then vegetable or berries. Now, from there, you do want to move up until that plate is half vegetables, but you don't have to start there. If you are not really a big vegetable eater and you eat a ton of them, it will make you sick. You need to work your way up.
And how
Um,
you prepare them, because I'm telling you, a salad can
yeah.
get boring.
Yes.
Go into all recipes online. A salad doesn't always consist of lettuce, you know.
Right.
And if you make a salad and you have this much dressing, you've defeated the purpose. So you want to kind of look at things like that. But when you say a quarter of your food should be a protein, I
Mhm.
was talking to my daughter. My daughter is anti-red meat. So you
Okay.
have chicken, you have fish, but there are other proteins, like you said, chickpeas. We went
Mm.
yesterday to a wonderful vegan restaurant.
Mm.
You have to be able to incorporate spices and different sauces and herbs. You
Yeah.
be creative with your food. My mother lost her sense of taste and smell as she was transitioning. She was getting older. So what I
Mm.
started to do is be more creative, give it more texture, give it more color.
Nice.
It looked better on the plate. So now you're
Yeah.
dealing with individuals, and I'll use African American culture. It
Sure.
is embedded in us that we use oils and grease and gravy and biscuits and butter and all that. It's
Yeah.
in our palate. How do we gradually try to move beyond those things? Because I hear that vegetable oils and sugars are really detrimental to the body. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the oils that are good for the body are olive oil, avocado oil is good as well. Um, and then the foods, olives and avocados, those things are good for us. The other vegetable oils tend to be inflammatory, and so that does not work for us for weight loss or for our health goals. Um, and and then the saturated fats, we really at the menopause transition and beyond need to reduce those. So sometimes what I'll do, like I have some recipes and it's not going to taste good without butter. So what
Mhm.
I'll do is I look at what's in there and you know, I'll cook whatever it is in olive oil, but I'll take a teaspoon of butter and drizzle it on top. So I have that flavor
Mhm.
that I want, but I'm eating a much healthier meal. Like I have a fish recipe that has that, and honestly, it's no good without butter, but
Right.
a little butter on top, and I can taste it.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other symptoms that go along with, that contribute to the weight loss, the brain fog, the depression.
Yeah.
Kick us in on that, because they don't, the first thing you do is, okay, again, you're eating for entertainment. I'm sitting here in front of my computer all day doing interviews. I've got this. Instead of that, what I've decided to do is have some pistachios, have some blueberries. If I need to do something, they need to be healthy choices, some things that we like. But when you see that weight gain, you automatically say, "Oh, I'm ugly. I'm not attractive. Um, I'm this. I'm never going to lose the weight." What are some things that we can do to get our mind right?
Yeah. So some people come to me and say, I want to lose weight so I feel better about myself. And when I work with people, we work on feeling better about yourself and losing weight. Because if you wait to lose the weight, you will not actually like yourself any better at goal weight.
Mhm.
So it's helpful to start thinking about yourself as a friend, as someone you care about, as someone you want to nourish, because it makes weight loss easier. You're more likely to eat healthy food and treat yourself right when you think well of yourself now. Think about what are good things about you that don't have anything to do with your belly or your chin or whatever. People always have something that really bothers them about themselves, and just think, what is great about me that I can think about and enjoy, because then I'm more likely to take care of myself. It'll be easier to lose weight then. And when you get to goal weight, you do feel better about yourself, because it's almost like there are two paths that need to go together, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I
Well,
really emphasize that.
let me ask you another question.
Mhm.
Intimacy. During that, you again in your mind, you're saying, "I'm not attractive, I'm not sexy to my partner." You're hot as all get out. You don't even want to touch your skin. And then a lot of women have problems with vaginal drying. That can be
Yeah,
a part of that as well. So you have all these things that are going on at the same time. Then depression sets in.
yeah.
It's hard to figure out which box to tick at what time. And emotionally, how you're feeling about yourself. What can we do when we get in that state of flux?
Yeah. I would recommend that you make sure you have your yearly exam with your primary care doctor, because all of these things do go together with menopause. And some of them are, one causes the other one, or one is worse. But you can take these groupings and they can be treated together. There's so many times when we're like, I've got an elbow problem, I go to the orthopedic doctor. We pinpoint so many things, but in menopause, you may get eight things, and you can go to your primary care doctor and they can help you figure out what's treatable, and sometimes that is hormone therapy, for vaginal dryness. People can use it's called low dose vaginal estrogen, and anyone can use that, even people who've had things like breast cancer and uterine cancer. But sometimes it is, dialing in the nutrition and sleep is really important for the brain symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And then will help with things like depression and brain fog. But sometimes depression does need to be treated with medication. Sometimes just going to see a therapist can really help with depression. That's very well proven as well. So I would say when you've got 8 or 10 things that are going on in menopause or perimenopause, definitely have that conversation with your doctor. Now, I will recommend that there are, unfortunately, not enough doctors who are very well trained in menopause. So if you go to the Menopause Society, which is menopause.org, you can find menopause certified doctors there. So, I just talked to someone at I was at the national conference this last week, and there was a doctor there, and she said, I'm in South Carolina and there are 6 of us, and people will drive an hour to come see her. Worth it. So find a menopause certified doctor if your doctor doesn't feel comfortable talking about the therapies for menopause.
Right. So tell me a success story that you've had with one of your patients that you've worked with, that you've helped them get over the hump.
Sure, sure. So I had a business owner who came in and she said, she said, honestly, I think after age 50, you can't lose weight. So, I don't believe it, but someone told me you have this program and I just hate how tight my pants are. I just feel terrible with this belly. So, we did a few things for her. One was we we worked out what her days were like, because she had some days where she was out in the field with her work, driving different places. She had some days where she was in front of a computer, and then she had weekend time. So we figured out how to eat for each of those days. And that really helped. And we moved toward getting enough protein and vegetables and eating meals. She also had tiny amounts of candy, like teeny tiny candies that she had. And she said, it's just a little bit, but it was in her desk. It was in the glove box in the car. She had a stash everywhere. And I'm so glad she shared this with me. But those little sugar spikes really work against you after menopause. You don't feel well. It's tough on your brain.
Right.
It really makes it hard to lose weight. Because you have insulin spiking and, blood sugar spiking and then insulin spiking, and insulin tells your body to store fat. So these little tiny things were not a lot of calories, but they were really working against her, her postmenopause body. So in doing that, she really lost her belly. And she just said she felt so much better, that she just felt comfortable in her pants again, which
Right.
was
A
great.
couple other things that I noticed too is that women's elimination, they don't pay attention to that. You are supposed to have a bowel movement every day, if not a couple
Yeah.
times during the course of the day.
Yeah.
And also the smell of the bowel movement. I say that because you're rotting inside. It should not be, of course, it's not going to be pleasant, but it's not going to be overly foul. When I
Yeah.
started changing my eating habits, you don't even know when I go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Also the color of your urine can tell a lot about what's going on. These are basic things that you can observe of yourself. Meal prepping. My daughter is big into meal prepping.
Mm.
Well, if you cook, then you can just kind of put these things to the side, and you can also control the portions. When I go to a restaurant with my daughter now, she's kind of obsessed with this, but the first thing she orders is a box. And I said, well, why
Gotcha.
do you order a box? She puts half of the food in the box. She's going to take it home. She says, because your eyes deceive you. And you figure, like, oh, I didn't eat as much as I should. And, you just keep going when you're
Mhm.
full. And I know in different cultures, I've got, friends around the world, we eat family style. So everything is right there in front of you, and you just eat until you're full. You don't really realize. So these things can kind of psychologically help you adjust to, portion control and meal prepping.
Yeah. Can I make a comment about that?
Absolutely.
So some people love meal prepping, and if you don't love meal prepping, what I recommend is that anytime you cook a vegetable, cook double, because then you can have some to stick in the fridge that you can have, you can put almost anything in a taco later in the week, or in a bowl, a bowl with whole grains and a protein. So double cook vegetables. Anything that you can make one amount of, make extra. I think that really helps. And there's a funny psychology thing about eating with other people. And it is that when we eat with people we love, we usually eat more. And the more we love them, the more we actually eat. So I love that you talked about how your daughter pays attention to what the portion is. So I know people who, you know, put that portion and then they'll put a napkin on their plate. Or I even heard about this man who he said he pours water on his plate when he's done eating, because then he won't eat anymore.
Wow.
Whatever works for you,
Right.
enjoy the time, push the plate back, enjoy the company. But just knowing that there's a psychology thing there can help you not overeat just because you're with your mom or your daughter or someone that you love.
Well, a friend of ours invited us out to a conscious eating meditation. Let me
Ooh.
tell, let me tell you, that was quite the experience. You had to pick up the food, you put it in your mouth, you had to chew it till it was almost liquefied.
Mm,
That's another thing. We inhale our food.
we do.
You don't have to, it's an experience. You become one. Food is a meditation. We eat to live, we don't live to eat. And so we had to put the food down, and then the next one. I bet you we were at that table for 2 hours. But
Wow.
what it did teach me is to appreciate the food and to slow down. What
Nice.
do you think about? This is very popular now. Intermediate fasting. What's your thoughts behind that?
Yeah, for all the brains who are wondering about intermittent fasting there, the I think of it as an optional tool. It does work well at for the menopause transition and beyond, and
Mm,
about half my clients use it and half do not. I think it works best. I mean, I want everything to be simple and easy for people. So I think it works best for those people that wake up in the morning and they're not hungry first thing.
mm.
Um, and so they just wait until they're hungry to have that first meal. I think that's the best form of intermittent fasting, to do that. Now I'll let people know too that you actually always fast. Like if you sleep through the
That's
night,
right.
then you are fasting then. So, but if you can look at when you finish eating, when you start eating, even if you can get that to 12 hours of
Mhm.
eating and 12 hours of not eating, or 11 hours of eating and 13 hours of not eating, even that is a little bit more of a fast than you would normally get and will help you.
Yeah, I did that when I started my nutrition class because it made perfect sense. 12 hours, you put food in, give your body a chance to rest and
Yeah.
process that food and eliminate that food and take out the nutrients that it needs and fortify your body and sleep. Those of you that have sleep apnea and that are snoring, I know it's not the sexiest thing to have the headgear on, but honey, let me tell you, it
Yeah.
makes a world of difference when your respiratory therapist tells you that you have stopped breathing 23 or 40 or 24, 25 times in the course of a night. And you put on the sleep apnea machine and you sleep through the night, you get a full 8 hours. You are renewed and you are refreshed, and it really clears up the mind fog. Would you agree with that, Dr. Heather?
Yes, yes. Sleep is super important for the brain symptoms of menopause. I would agree with that. And it also, you can't actually really lose weight if your sleep is totally bad. So
Mm, mhm.
it's worth doing for that. And sleep apnea becomes more prevalent
Yeah,
at the menopause transition and beyond. And people do deserve to have this looked at their doctor's office. So
they
it's
do. They
definitely
do.
bring this up. There are many things that, acupuncture can help with it, exercise can help with it. But if you have sleep apnea, that needs its own treatment. If you're awake because of hot flashes, that can be treated. You know, the there's a lot there, and you deserve to have a workup and get it looked at.
What do you recommend with regards to exercise and weight loss? Because, people will overdo it at the gym,
Yeah.
and they overdo it at the table. So
Right.
what one offsets the other, and then you see muscle, you see bulk maybe, but you don't see the pounds lost. So tell us two things. Number one, what do you recommend when it comes to exercise in conjunction with this? And number two, um, watching the scale. You know that number is an illusion. We want to keep looking at it. We want it to keep going down, but that may not necessarily happen right away because you got to get rid of the bloat and the inflammation.
Yeah. The scale is this If the scale is problematic for you, avoid it. I think and if you're doing some exercise, then you may have some changes so that number doesn't move, but you may be, you know, getting more muscle and so it's hard to tell. There are some scales that some doctors' offices have and some gyms have that will actually give you the like how much fat you have and how much muscle you have, and those are a little more helpful.
Mm,
Um, as far as what is good for weight loss, weight training at the menopause transition is probably the best exercise for weight loss for women at that age. Now, we need cardio still because we need our heart and lungs to be healthy, but the weight training, lifting heavier things,
mm,
um, does help us keep our metabolism up because it turns out with metabolism that the burner inside you is not faulty. It still works just fine. But all humans in the mid 30s start to lose muscle mass. And then at the menopause transition, when your estrogen goes down, you start wasting muscle. You're really losing it. So you need to eat enough protein and you need to lift heavy things, whatever is heavy for you, to build that muscle to keep your metabolism.
okay. So your three key takeaways that we should focus on with regards to losing weight in this in the menopause stage would be what? Your top three?
Yeah. Do some weight training, but remember what you said about that working out doesn't mean eat more. It means eat normal, but weight train. The other one is really pay attention to your sleep because it will make all of your menopause stuff better and it will help you lose weight. And you really can't lose weight if your sleep is garbage. So sleep is super crucial. And then the other one is to get enough protein and vegetables or berries at every meal.
Okay, proteins and berries in every meal. Do you recommend maybe protein drinks or shakes? What's your position on that? Because sometimes you don't want to eat a full meal, or sometimes you want to replace that meal, or instead of a snack, you'll have, a protein drink. Not in particular. Do
Yeah,
you think that that's really fortifying and giving you what you need?
it can be. And I think, I'm not going to go deep on like which ones are better than
Right.
others, but sure, to make a protein shake, and if you're going to put it in a blender, throw in a handful of greens as well, a
Mhm.
handful of berries and some protein and maybe some plant milk or cow's milk if that's okay for you, and or water and there you go. Yeah.
I got off the cow's milk. I looked at the date and it was 16 days. I've never known milk to last 16 days. I said, no. So I tried oat milk for the first time. It was really good. It was
Yeah, there's a lot of
it
good
had the
plant milk.
thickness and the consistency of, homogenized cow milk, and it was good. So try different things. Yeah, you may spend $5, but almond milk or these other alternatives. So let's ask you some fun questions. Mother of
Okay.
four, okay?
Okay.
You're a doctor and you're big on nutrition. Do you have picky eaters, and how did you get your children to try different things and incorporate different things in their diet?
Yeah, a couple of things I did. I did have one particularly picky eater. And what was helpful to me was to know that she worried about whether or not she was going to get food. And when we go places, would there be food that she liked? And so that gave me a lot of compassion for her that she wasn't trying to piss me off, you know? Why won't you eat this? And so some things I allowed my kids to try something new, and if they didn't like it, to spit it out. So she was willing to try some things, and that helped. And then also I said things like, you don't like salad now, but you might like it when you're older, or you don't like this now, but she could see that the rest of us were eating it, and so kind of setting a good example and telling her, you might like it when you're older. And now she does eat salad. So it worked out, just make it low stress for them, let them try stuff, let them spit it out, and just keep putting it out though. Keep
The
making
old school way, the old school was you're going to clean your plate. You're going to eat everything on your
yeah,
plate. And
yeah.
if you don't like it, you don't like it, but at least try it. I tell my daughter, when she was growing up, I said she didn't like broccoli at first. Okay, well, you didn't like it raw, but you loved it sauteed.
Yeah.
Then, maybe steamed, maybe you like it in a casserole. So
Yeah.
try it different ways. And again, take your kids into the kitchen
Yes.
or have a
So
garden. We have a garden. And it is
nice.
so wonderful to go out there and pick a fresh tomato. I'll say, go get me some thyme, go get me some basil. They see where their food is coming from and they
Nice.
have a newfound appreciation for that.
That's beautiful.
If you were an appliance in the kitchen of all places, Dr. Heather, what appliance would you be?
Oh gosh. I would be a cookie sheet.
Oh, that's sweet.
I do love cookies, but also my favorite food is roasted vegetables. And if I can just toss some vegetables in olive oil and put them out on the sheet and put some salt and pepper on top and roast them, that's my ideal day.
Oh, that's sweet. A cookie sheet. I always
Yep.
want to be the refrigerator. I want to be the place. I want to be the place where you chill, just where you
Yeah, you're
cool
a
out.
chill,
That's
you're a
good.
chill cat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What would you tell a woman that is, you know, going through at the first beginning stages of menopause and she has no idea of even what she's going through? What would you say to her when she comes into your office?
I would say that it's kind of like, it is kind of like puberty. You're getting a new body. It's a new life phase. You don't get to pick it, and I'm very sorry for that. But there are some beautiful things going through it. If you think about yourself in sixth grade when you hunched over and you had a new bra and I thought everyone was looking at you, and it was just awful. And then 20, you're like, oh, I've got this beautiful adult body now. This is going to be similar. There are going to be some things that you don't like about it. But in the end, you're going to get like your brain actually gets more efficient. You get wiser. They do studies, and women at 60 are happier than they've ever been.
Baby, I am 62 and I am living my best life. I want you guys
Nice.
to know I am.
Yes.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. And you know what? And again, this is a little different, but my sexual appetite increased considerably.
Nice.
I because
Nice.
I am unapologetically me. As my
Beautiful.
kids will say, I've been there, done that, and I wear the t-shirt.
Yeah.
It is a rite of passage. We're all going to go through it at one point or another. Um,
Yep.
what suggestions do you have for a woman that has intense hot flashes? Now, I know that, you said some people will require medication, but is there anything that we can do, just to kind of, and it happens at the middle of the night. Why does it happen in the middle of the night in your sleep?
Yeah. Some
Kind of
people have it worse
strange.
during the day. Some people have it worse during the night. Some people have it all the time. It's so
Oh,
random.
okay. Okay.
But I want to say that menopause hormone therapy can be safe for most women, and the indication for it is hot flashes. So I just want you to know that it's worth having a discussion with your doctor about.
Okay.
But also inflammatory stuff. Sugar will
Mhm,
cause more hot flashes. Alcohol is like pouring gasoline on a fire.
mm, mm, mm.
So notice that, if I have a glass of wine one night and I don't have it another night, maybe that night is real bad. And do I, you want to decide, like, is it worth it to me to have alcohol tonight? Or do I really want to sleep better tonight? So kind of looking at also, actually eating more protein and vegetables will calms inflammation, which calms hot flashes.
We're
So
going to brush this question here with a broad stroke, okay?
sure.
Because everybody is onto these weight loss injections now.
Yeah.
It's the latest and greatest.
Yep.
What uh, I don't know what position is that. Is that something that can, and again, you have to consult your doctor. This is just a general conversation that we're having. Each person is different. But is that something that, we're looking towards to really kind of jumpstart this? Because it takes a minute for you to see the fruit of your labor. I mean, it took you 3 or 4 years to gain that weight. It's not going to be gone in 6 months automatically.
No, but if I would say that if your weight was pretty good and you only are gaining weight at the menopause transition, you probably don't need those medications. And that's really general again, because there could be
Very
people that
general,
do,
right?
right? Yeah. If you talk to your doctor, it's possible that you do, but those are meant to be lifetime medications. So if
Mhm.
you have just gained weight now, and then you can probably lose it with lifestyle and keep it off.
Okay.
There are some old weight loss medications that are also helpful for women for weight loss that aren't the GLP-1 injections. So there are other choices as well. But I would say be open to that
Yeah.
also. I work with people and we do it all with lifestyle. So we don't, I work with people online. We don't use medications. But I work mostly with people who are doing pretty well with weight, and then they just all of a sudden it's perimenopause and that number goes up and their pants are tight and they feel uncomfortable in their body.
And brains, it's all about your vernacular too. It's how you talk to yourself. I don't call it a diet. I call it a live it,
Yes.
because it is a lifestyle change at this point. You have to think, when you were first born, you were on liquids. You were introduced to solids. You started getting a sandwich. Then you started getting junk food. Then you started cooking. Now your body is going to shift. As you get older, your palate change. I looked at my mother as she transitioned, and my mother would love some sweets. She would
Mhm.
have cookies on those cookie sheets.
Yeah.
But as she got older, she says, it's too sweet. It doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
I can smell things in the lunch meat. She would love a
Mhm.
sandwich. She didn't eat the bread. You could tell that her body was regressing into other things. So again, this is a transition. So thank you so much for the work that you do and the information with that, and to look at our plates and to understand that it's just a different phase in our life and we need to adjust to that. But it has to be a lifestyle change. It can't be a quick fix, because you'll go right back to that same old, cycle of chaos, eating for entertainment. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you, Dr. Heather, how they can work with you, get more information and inspiration.
Sure. Well, you can find me with my name, Heather Awad, MD, on all the social media profiles. I do have a podcast, Vibrant Menopause, with lots of free information about menopause health and menopause weight loss. But if you go to my website, heatherawadmd.com, there is a free video course for losing weight in the menopause transition. And so I want to offer that to the brains listening in your audience, to just go right there, heatherawadmd.com.
Brains, use your brain. Go in, really like, love, share, and subscribe. And also for our men listeners on here, there's a thing called a menopause. That's going to be another show. Okay. They go through a transition too. You better believe it. But this might support your daughter. This might support your mother. This might support your partner. You'll have a better understanding. You can be a little bit more compassionate. You might be able to, willing to go on this weight loss extravaganza with them. So,
Mhm.
it's good to be healthy, is to be good, male or female. Please go in, love, like, share, and subscribe. We're going to put Dr. Heather's, all of her information at the back. Go in and listen to some of the podcasts. You're listening to this one, so we know that you like podcasts. Leave her a comment, ask questions, because she wants to give you the information that you are craving. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Heather. You are a blessing to all of us, and we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a delight.
All right. Bye, brains.